files.
Nope.
Oh, do not recover?
No, you write your own code.
Okay.
Tell them people no. Now, let me share my screen again. Any other questions, y'all? Okay. So, let's walk through this. So, what you're looking at, okay. So, what you're looking at is Microsoft's SQL Server Management Studio. This is Microsoft's tool for SQL. When you are interviewing and you ask them what tech stack are they using, and they say Microsoft, this is what they are using. But like I said, I've done it in Amazon, I've done it in Oracle, Google Cloud, Amazon, all spaces, and they are primarily set up the same way. It might be a little different, but they are primarily set up the same way. But if you fully understand one, you're gonna understand, you're good. So this is Microsoft's tool. Now over here, you got your Object Explorer. This is everything. You see this part right here. This is your server. When your server is down, nobody can have access to their data. Your server is literally the brain of your full database. It's also called or referred to as the environment. When you get your role, you will have multiple environments. You might have a production environment. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's live data. You might have a dev environment. You might have a QA environment. Those are pretty much like sandboxes. That means that you can go over there, you can test your data out, you can do whatever you want to do, and you really can't break nothing because it's not live data. But they all are stacked up on each other just like this. So if you expand your server here, you'll see everything that's housed within your server. So we got our server first, that's the brain that keep everything together. Then we come here and let's expand our databases. Now, when we started out our session, I explained to you what is a database. A database stores data. These black boxes here are databases. When you get your role, organizations have so much data, especially if you are in healthcare, especially if you are in education, finance, public health, don't even get everybody, is so much data. There's always a common question that I get, and people are like, okay, well, will AI take the role of like the work we do? And the answer is no. The answer is rooted in AI changes the way that we work. But AI is literally, first of all, it's built on Python, first and foremost. Second of all, AI, chat, all this stuff is based on data patterns, second of all. Third of all, in order for your data to be consumable, it has to be clean data. And it needs people in order to ensure that that data is clean. Data quality is a whole lane. I spent 2 years doing data quality work for Optum. It's a whole thing because there's so much data and people associate volumes of data with quality. And it's like, baby, you got all this data and it's stored everywhere and you can't do anything with it. So it's like, I can't do nothing with it. So when you get your role, you're going to have a lot of different databases and they're going to be stacked up just like this over on this left side. Now, for tonight's session, let's go into our data analytics simplified database. So in order to do that, we expand it just like that with the little arrow. When you expand it, you're going to open it up even more. So we got our server, we got our databases. Now we about to go into an even deeper level. Here we got our database diagrams, our tables, our views, really anything that is specific to that database. You're going to have all the information here. So we're going to click on our tables and let's expand our tables. Now, remember how I told y'all that everything in a relational database goes back to tables. Everything. You're not doing anything if you're not doing it to a table. Everything goes back to the table. Your data in a relational database is stored in a table, period. Now, these are our tables. For this particular database, we have 3 tables. So we got our server, we got our databases. Now we are into our tables. It's an umbrella. Now, remember how if y'all don't take nothing else from me, trust me when I say when you get your role that data is an afterthought for organizations. Even the organizations that you think got their stuff together, they don't. They don't. And what I mean by that, you as the analytic professional, you're supposed to be more aware of the data, how the data is relational, how the data relates, what data is useful, what data you have access to, all of those things. So that's why I'm big on y'all with data investigation. Data investigation is literally going to be everything for you. I got one of my students from, I don't know, a couple of months ago. Everything be running together, but a couple months ago, she was in QA. And I'm actually featuring her next month. But she was a QA tester, like she tested software and stuff, and she got a data engineer role. And she was saying how my transitioning from QA to data engineering, it was a culture shock to her because in testing, they keep so much documentation. It's like, okay, you test this, you do that. And data is supposed to be like that, but they don't be doing right. So it requires for her to go in and do a lot of data investigation and stuff herself. And she actually told me on the session, she was like, I didn't realize how big of a thing that was until I was actually in the space. And I'm like, yes, when you in them seats, that data investigation is everything. So with that being said, I'm big on y'all with it. And that's why when we do our use cases, I'll tell you the database, but I'm not going to tell you the table. I be wanting you to go and look and find it yourself. So these are our tables. Now, if we expand it like that, you can then see your columns. These are all of your columns that are within that that's within that table. Now, remember how I told y'all how the primary focus of SQL is, or the primary one of the primary purposes of SQL is data definition. How is it allows you to define your data? How is your data defined? This is it in the flesh. This data in this table, this is how that data is defined. Here we have our columns, and then we have our column definitions over here. I'm clicking on stuff, my bad. We have our column definitions over here. Now here we see we have a PK. Do anybody know what PK means? Not preacher kid. Yes, come through. Yes, ma'am. So I'm typing in the chat. It's primary key. Okay. So PK, primary key. This is the unique identifier for this table. I'm telling you now, people that sit on the other side interviewing you love this question. What's the primary key? Oh, okay. A primary key is the unique identifier for that table. They love this question. They also love the join question. And we're going to talk about that in session 3. Don't say I ain't never told you nothing. PK is the primary key. It is the unique identifier for that table. No two primary keys can coexist. It is literally unique for each record, and it allows for us or you the ability to differentiate what record is unique. Also, we see our definitions here that we just talked about. It's the integer. It's not null. That means it's required. This is how our table is defined. Now, that's one way you can do your data investigation. You can expand them columns and you can look at your table, your columns. Another way that you can do it is you can right click your table and select your top 1,000 rows. Right click right here and then select your top 1,000. This allows you to have visibility into the actual values of that table. I can see the columns all day, but let me see the data. That allows you to see your data. Now, one of the primary objectives for tonight. Wait, did anybody have any questions before we go forward? Okay. One of the primary objectives for tonight is a limit. A limit. This top 1,000 is a limit. It literally limits the amount of records that you show in your output. This is an output. Now, when I right click and select them top 1,000 rows, all my data, this was a small table. So let's go to our Romans table. Do the same thing to y'all Romans table, y'all. Right click and select your top 1,000 rows. And you see that this limits us to have only 1,000 records in our output. This is the output. This is your output. This top 1,000 is right here. This is the limit. If I want to say top 100, I can say top 100, execute, and I'm going to get me 100 records all day long. If I want to say top 500, I can't text. If I want to say top 500, I'm going to get my 500 records. That's the limit. I literally limit the amount of data that shows up in my output. This is an output. Now, let's get rid of our limit. It's gone. I don't want to limit it. I want to see all of my data. The reason that you get a limit when you right click your data is because, like I was just telling you a few minutes ago, organizations have so much data where it is not uncommon for you to have 2 million records, 3 million records, 5 million records, especially if you have a historical data set. Think about how your life looks. You go to the doctor, and we're at the age now where like they take so much blood, they do all these tests, they do all of this work. Each person has all these labs. I'm one person. I got 10, 15, whatever the case is. They see hundreds of people a day. Then over time, it's just accumulates. So think about how much data that is. So it's not uncommon for you to have 2, 3, 4 million records of data in your tables. So when I select my top 1,000 rows, it literally limits to 1,000 records because I don't need to pull all this. Now, let's get into best practice. When you are writing your code, it is best practice to document what you're doing. Multiple things. First of all, it's yours. And I keep my stuff. I'm just saying. Like, especially if it's like super complex work or super complex analysis that I did, document what you're doing. Document your logic, why you wrote your code like that, what the business case was, whatever you have to do in order for it to make sense to you because it's yours. And that's partially why I'm not big on memorization. I don't care about memorization because how I write my code might be slightly different than yours. And it's okay. And when you get your role, how you write your code, your teammates might be slightly different from yours. And it's okay. So document your code so you can know what you're doing. And the way that you do that is you just come right up here at the top of whatever you're doing and put your 2 dashes and say this syntax does whatever you're doing. Whatever your analysis is, whatever it is, just make sure you capture what you're doing. Document your code is best practice. Another thing is when you right click and select your top 1,000 rows, you see these brackets here. You'll see these brackets around your columns. These brackets are there because there are times to where sometimes your column might be a reserved word. There are times your column might be a reserved word. What is a reserved word? You go to a wedding and these people got reserved seats. It's the same thing. This seat is for her. This seat is for him. In code, whether it's Python, whether it's PowerShell, whether it is even Excel, whether it is any programming language, they have a set of words that mean specific things for their program. Reserved words are the same way. So when you right click and select your top 1,000 rows, you get the brackets around it because they're saying, wait. This is not a reserved word. I know for a fact it's a column because they pulled it directly from this table. So these brackets indicate that that's a column. Another thing you notice that all of your columns are, not columns, what is this? Commas. All of your commas are in the front of your columns. Keep them there. That is also best practice. And the reason being is because anything that is in your select statement shows up in your output. So let's say I don't want one of these columns in my output. What I can do is I can comment that column out with my 2 dashes and it doesn't exist. And I can just re-execute my code and it's like it didn't even exist. It didn't show up in my output. Now, if I had columns in the back, columns here, commas, y'all. If I had commas in the back, commas here, commas there, that can get really messy, especially when you have 40, 50, 60, 300 lines of code. You going through all your code trying to figure out where your commas are when you could just keep them in the front. Another thing is, I can't stress this enough. Do not try to reinvent the wheel. When I select my top 1,000 rows, I'm going to build on this. I'm building on this because I know for a fact that this is correct. I know for a fact that these are my column names. I know for a fact that these are my table names. I'm building on this. Don't go and try to write your code from scratch, baby. Build on this. And as you navigate the space and as you get into more complex analysis and scenarios, literally layer your code. Like I think about it like piece by piece. Like when you see like someone's code and they have like all these complex analysis and these like it just looks so, oh my God. They literally are going through, okay, putting one thing, okay, this works. Putting another thing, okay, this works. Putting another thing, okay, they're literally building it. I want you to get in the habit of also doing the same thing. Because first of all, it's not as intimidating that way. If you see things in like small digestible pieces, it's not as intimidating that way. And secondly, that's how people working anyway. That's how we working. Like if even in my day-to-day, when I'm doing my day-to-day work, I'm not going to like, I'm not writing this. I'm pulling what I have. I'm getting rid of what I don't need. I'm keeping what I need. And I'm going line by line with each condition or whatever the case is. I'm literally building it. So you do the same thing. Build it with what you already have. And it also decreases your opportunity for error. If I get down here and I start typing select column, I'm typing my columns out, I can easily misspell something. I can easily remove something. And if you do that, it's not going to work. And it's like, you don't have to do all that. So build it brick by brick. Also, this block of code is called a syntax. It's called a syntax. When you are in your technical session, well, it's a tech session. When you are in your tech screening, it is not uncommon for you to have to do a tech screen. Sometimes they can go like somebody will interview you, we'll sit on one side, y'all sit on the other side, and we ask a few questions. Okay, what's the primary key? What's the foreign key? Can you tell me the different types of joins? It's the same questions. That's one way. The other way is you might have to write code live. You might have to write code on your screen. And that is why I teach y'all how I teach y'all. I give y'all the use case and you go write your own code. Because first of all, it gives your muscle memory time for it to like click in. When you're interviewing, that's not your first time doing it. You've done it before. Secondly, when you're doing that, make sure you talk through your logic. Okay, first of all, I'm doing my data investigation. I'm going to look at all this data. Now I see that this table has this column. I see that this table has this column. Now I'm writing my syntax to capture, whatever. Just literally talk through it. And it sounds so silly, but I promise you, you talking through it gives your interviewer the opportunity to say or to know that you understand data past, okay, I'm just retrieving this data from this table. No, you understand what you're doing. So talk through what you're doing. This is a syntax. Now, another thing is how I told y'all everything we do within SQL goes back to tables. Everything. You ain't doing nothing if you're not doing it to a table. You're doing it to a table. So here we have our select statement. We are selecting this column, this column, this column, this column from this table. Everything we do goes back to tables. If you hover your mouse over, you'll see that this is your database. This is called a schema. And what a schema is, a schema keeps the data organized in a database. So it's DBO automatically, but you can make your schema anything, or the organization can make their schema anything. Let's say you have a role and you are I'm gonna use public healthcare, for example. You're in public health and you're on this major initiative where all of your data is captured to support this major initiative that you're working on. Let's say I want to organize all of that data that's relevant for their specific initiative in one specific space. I can name my schema to be whatever that initiative is, and it'll clump all that data together. This is your actual table name. So everything we do goes from a table or a column. Now, when we are, okay, so we're in our enrollments table now. Let's expand our enrollments table and let's look at our columns in our enrollments table. You see that table definition here. You see how that table is defined here. Everything match up, everything look like it's supposed to look. Now, let's get into data relationships. Data relationships is going to take you from SQL to Power BI to Excel to Python to Tableau to PowerShell. Everything cares about data relationships. Everything in data cares. And if you fully understand the dynamic of that, it's going to shortlist your understanding in those other tools. So let's get into data relationships. When I have humans, I got two humans. If these two humans are related, they are related because they have something in common. Data is the same way. If I got two tables, those tables are related because there's something in common between both of those tables. That is your data relationship and your data dependency. That means these tables are related. But if I have a primary key and foreign key, which I'm going to talk about that now, that column literally depends on the column from another table. Now here we got our PK. We talked about the PK already. We said that PK is a primary key. That is the unique identifier for that table. In this table, though, y'all notice we got an FK too. Does anybody know what an FK is?
Foreign key.
Come through. I'm typing in the chat for y'all. Foreign key. That is the unique identifier for another table. In your natural language, when we say, oh, it's a foreign car, it's a foreign, it's not from there. It's not from wherever you're talking about. Data is the same way. Foreign key. It is not from this table. That's the unique identifier from another table. I'm typing another note in the chat. Foreign keys uncover the data dependencies. Which table, which columns in my table is dependent on the columns in another table? That's them foreign keys. So we got our primary key, then we have our foreign keys. Now let's go down to our students table and let's do some more data investigation within that students table. What's the primary key within the students table?
Student ID.
Yep. Now, what table is related? What table is the course table related to? And what's the data dependency? Go and look at your tables, do your data investigation. And what tables is a course table related to and how? And remember, in order for something to be related, it has to have a common field.
It's at the enrollments.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the column. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the courses table.
Yep. You're right.
Okay.
It's related to the enrollment table. How? What's the relationship? What's the data relationship?
It is the course ID.
Yes, ma'am. Does anybody else have any questions on that?
Yes.
What's up? Let's talk through it. I love it. Let's go. I know Keisha said yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand how it was determined.
Okay. This is our course table. These are our columns in our course table. We got our course ID, we got our course name, and we got a department column. Stephanie said this course table is related to this enrollment table. I said, how you know that? She said, based on the course ID. Now, in this course table, you see that your course ID is your primary key. Then you come down here to your enrollments table, and your course ID is your foreign key. Remember, your foreign key is your primary key to another table. A foreign key is literally a primary key from somewhere else. It ain't from here. It's from somewhere else. That's the data relationship. Right here. Course ID.
Okay. Okay, so now that I know where we're looking at, repeat the question. What was the question?
How is the course table? What other tables is related to the course table? Question number one. What tables is related to the course table, and what's the dependency? What's the field that connects them together? So what's the relationship first? Then the secondly is, okay, now that I know I can establish a table, what column? Did that make sense?
Somewhat. So the relationship, was it the course ID?
Yeah. Yep. Think about it. You. If you are related, you have a sibling. That's your sibling because y'all have a common relative.
Right.
Data's the same way. This is the data relationship because this is the common field. I have the data relationship between this table and this table based on the course ID. They got it both in common. They got a common parent.
Okay.
Same concept. So when you're doing your tech assessments, when you are in your interviews, when you are doing like a live coding and you going through your stuff, literally say that out loud. Be like, okay, I'm going to do my data investigation, and I see that the course table is related to the enrollments table on the course ID. That's data relationships. How is this data related? What's the common field? And data dependency. Which column depends on the other column? Data relationships and data dependency. We're going to do that practice every single time we get in here. Because, like I said, it's going to help you literally all the way through data because Power BI does it, Python cares about it, Excel cares about it, Tableau cares about it. Everything cares about data relationships because that's how you maintain data integrity. That's how you maintain data integrity. And data integrity is like, is this even quality data? The same way how people have integrity. Your data has to have integrity as well. Because it's like, if I take a bunch of random data from a bunch of random spots, I don't know the relationships, data relationship. I don't know how this data depends on this data. I don't have nothing to compare it to. And in order for you to make sure that your analysis is clear and clean, you got to have quality data. You got to have a high level of data integrity. And all of them different pieces go right into that. Any questions? Okay. Now, select whatever columns we want from our table. That's select. Now, I'm about to go into, I keep y'all code up. Okay. Okay. Now let's get into the fun part. Every time we come in here, I'm literally y'all gonna have to do data relationships and data investigation every single time. Because the more you do it, the more it's gonna make sense to you. And it's also, like I said, it's gonna help you everywhere else, but it's most specifically gonna help you when we get into session 3 and we gotta join our tables. Because when you join tables, you gotta join them tables on a common field, the data relationship. So I like introduce it to y'all early on and like get you in the habit of going to look at your data. So any questions before we move into the structure of your SQL? Let's go then. So primary objective, one of the primary objectives for tonight I mentioned was the DML languages, data manipulation language. That is one of 4 of these things. If you're doing something in SQL, you're doing one of 4. Now, I do introduce you all and have you all to apply all 4. However, when you get within your space, select is probably what you're going to be doing. And the reason being goes back to what I was saying in the very beginning about how your data is supposed to be like data quality, data integrity. So if you come into your space and when you get your role, unless you are like a data engineer, a database administrator, something like that, the permissions that you're going to get are limited. They want to make sure that you are as risk averse means you take risks on it. They want to make sure that you're not in there tearing nothing up. So they're going to give you like the least amount of permissions as possible, which is essentially like select. But I do have an expectation for y'all to know all of them because you do have to insert data for your coding challenge, and everything kind of relates to the next one anyway. So select. We just talked about select a minute ago. And select essentially is what you use in SQL to retrieve data from a database. Select. I want this column, and this column, and this column, and this column from this table. Anything you do goes back to that. A star is not best practice. Best practice is how I'm teaching y'all here with listing out your explicit columns that you need. List out your columns explicitly. A star is called a wild card. That means it's going to pull all your columns and all your data. And it's not best practice because it takes so much space, like memory and stuff when you do that. We actually have a best practice meetings with our data analysts because they building out all their reports and stuff. And on the back end of reports, they got select star on everything. It's like, y'all, the system can't function because it's taking up so much memory. So best practice is only list out the columns that you need, or if you don't need it, do how we talked about and just comment it out. And I'm gonna put that in the chat as well, so you know, it's just 2 dashes. Just comment it out. So select. Now, notice on this update syntax, we have this, what is called a where. This where is called a condition. A condition allows you to filter out your data. If I say, can you go to the store and get me some milk? You're going to be like, girl, first of all, I don't know. But if I say, can you go to the store and get me some unsweetened almond milk, half a gallon, Kroger brand, you're going to know what I'm talking about because I filtered out my request. When you get your role, that's how your requests are going to be. They're not going to say, hey, Stephanie, can you retrieve this data from this column? Can you retrieve these columns from this table? It's going to come in the sense of, hey, I need all the people who joined in the year 2024 and are from the state of Colorado. I need all the people that are from, they got tested at this center and that they saw this doctor and they got this vaccine. I need all the people that came from this school in this county. Like think about how when you go into work and the work that you do and how the questions that you ask, if it's attributed to data, how you get specific things. Filters allow you to do that. So when I say where is called a filter. Where is called a condition. And it allows you to filter your data. Give me all the data where this condition is met. That is a condition. So for us let's start with select. Go into your database and okay. Go into your database. Now, when we have filters, we have to apply. You remember how I told you everything goes back to a table and everything goes back to a column. So here we have select all our columns from our table. When we filter out our data, we have to say where this column equals this. That is a filter where this column equals this. Notice that if I say where this column equals John, like this example here, I put my single quotes around John. When you have a string, when you have a varchar data type, you have to make it a string. In order for you to make it a string, you got to put them single quotes around it. Now, integer and date time, you're good. You don't have to do that. But for varchar, you have to put those strings around it. Any questions before we get into our first use case? Okay. Now, for the first use case, For the first use case, I need a list of students who major in biology. I need a list of students who major in biology. So first things first, data investigation. Which tables answer this question? So go and look at your tables, right-click your table, select your top 1,000 rows, and see which tables that you have answer this question. What you're doing is called data investigation.
Is it the student table?
Yep. So right-click and select your top 1,000 rows. Remember that to document what you're doing at the top. So come here and let's go on and put it down on line 2 and write. What did I export? Oh, let me write it in the chat. Let me write y'all use case in the chat. I need a list of students who made it in biology. So document your code at the top. And it doesn't have to be like this. Whatever you feel comfortable. And now start to build your code on top of it. Now remember, this top 1,000 is a limit. So we're going to get rid of that limit. And we're going to build our code right on top of these. The use case is...
I can type it to get it up there. I can't.
Let me see. Right click and then select your top 1,000.
Mm-hmm. So how did you get this syntax for the record of all students?
I wrote that.
Where did you click it?
Right here. Go, see how it is right here? I just brought it down.
Right there, yeah. Okay.
Yep. I just brought it down and then document what your analysis is doing. Yep. What did I say? Oh, measuring biology.
How did you bring it down again?
Just press enter. Press enter, Erica. And then just go on top and type it. Did you see my screen? Was that Erica?
Yes, I got it. Yeah,
okay,
I got it.
Okay. Yeah, just bring it down and press enter. So we identified our table. Now let's build our query on top of this. Don't write it from scratch. Literally build it brick by brick. Using your filters. Where? And if y'all want to talk through it, or if you have any questions, we can talk through it.
Do we execute or?
Yep.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Should I keep the enrollment year? Do
Yep.
we need the enrollment year?
Keep everything.
Oh, okay.
Yep, keep everything. Anybody got any questions, or were you able to do it, or you want to walk through something? It's not clear.
I'd like to be walked through it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Okay, who is it? Deb. Okay. Stephanie, were you able to get it? Girl, I can't hear you. You good at
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. Yeah, I was able to get result. It's only one though.
You only got one record? Let me see. You might only have. Oh, what VM are you on? I think we talked about that on my last session. Can you show your screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I up?
This is correct. No, you're right.
Okay.
Somebody got a little happy and updated a whole bunch of data, but your syntax is right. So let's talk about her code. On line 1, she listed out, she wrote her documentation. She captured, this is what I'm doing. She got a list of students who majored in biology. That's what she's doing. Now, she right-click and she select her top 1,000 rows from her students table. She got rid of her top 1,000 because that's the limit. She don't need top 1,000. So she got select. Anytime we are selecting this column and this column and this column from this table. On line 8, she gets into filtering her data. She's essentially saying pull all this data where this condition is met. Line 8 is her filter. We think about it like coffee. We got coffee. I don't do no K-cups. Like I still got like my coffee pot is very 1995 break room coffee pot. That's the best kind. You got your coffee pot. You have your filter. Where is a filter? I take my coffee, I take my data, I'm putting it in my filter. Don't nothing come in my coffee pot but what I need or my output. So in this, she selected all of her data from this table where this condition is met. Now, Deb, Keisha, Erica, look at Stephanie code. Does that answer your question or you still got some questions? What was the gap?
I think I just would like to see just, I guess, a walkthrough of just how,
Oh, okay.
step by step.
Yeah, I definitely didn't do this. I was looking at what I already had here and just adding to it. But I see that she just went and put another line
Mm-hmm.
and added the where. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, same for me. I was just looking at what originally popped up.
Yep. When you are filtering your data, and actually session 2, we're gonna get into like logical operators, which is complex filtering, essentially layering the filters on top of each other. So when you are filtering your data, literally think about it like a coffee pot. All of my data is the coffee. I got my filter, which is where nothing is gonna come in my coffee pot except for what I need. That's all I need. That's all I'm gonna get. It's literally structured the exact same way. But does seeing her code, does it make it easier for you? Or does it make it clearer for you? We're gonna do one more use case anyway before we get into the next one, but just making sure.
Yeah, seeing it makes sense, but I guess initiating it from the beginning.
Yeah. Did you select your top 1,000 rows and build upon your code like that?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's by clicking on what did I click?
Your thank you,
It wasn't
Stephanie.
DBO courses that we used. We used enrollments, correct?
We use students.
Student.
Yep, we in our students table. Thank you, Steph.
You're welcome.
But yeah, select your top 1,000 rows and literally layer it on top of it. Literally, like whatever it is, put your condition or your test case or whatever you're doing. Okay, this works. Now I'm gonna go do this. Okay, this works. Now I'm gonna go do that. Okay, this works. Like literally work just like that. Let me do one more for y'all before we go into the next one. Give me all the students who have a grade of a A. So first things first, data investigation. Jamal, you good?
I will be shortly after we probably do this one.
Okay. Data investigation. Which tables answer this question? Which tables? And then which column? I need all the students. I'm gonna write the use case in the chat.
So would this one be enrollment?
Yep.
Under enrollment? Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
So first starting out, in order to select I guess I want to use the right words. So I guess I know for one, we're looking under the columns.
Mm-hmm.
And under those columns, the question was about grades. And so enrollments is the only one with grades.
Yep.
So we narrow it down that way. But what is that DBO enrollments? What do we actually call that?
That okay, you can see my screen. Okay. So this is a schema, but it's just your table.
Table. That's
Yep.
what I'm saying. Okay, so table and columns. Gotcha.
Yep. Tables and columns. And there's sometimes people refer to columns as fields as well. But yep, table and columns. But it's your table name and then you have your columns up here. And I want it where everybody who had a grade of an A. So we identified our table and you also identified the column as well. Oh, there you go. Now let's filter out our data to only give us where the grade is a B. I mean an A. Y'all got any questions? Keisha, you good?
I'm trying to see how do you specify the A.
Where my code is? Like this. So this is my enrollments table. Okay, so I'm selecting these columns from this table. Now I'm a filter where?
Grade.
Yep, grade. Where grade equals A. I'm literally saying I want.
Okay, I saw that red and I thought it was an error.
Oh, now if you get the red underneath, like how Microsoft Word does, it is an error. But yeah, for this, when you put your single quotes around it, it just essentially means that this is a string. I'm telling it where this column has this value. And when I say your data has to explicitly match, like let's say if I was like looking for a certain state and I'm saying, okay, well, I type in Colorado and the data itself is like CO, it's not gonna give me any data. So like it has to explicitly match like to the T. But that's filtering out your data. I need this from this table where this condition is met, where this column equals A, where this column equals whatever, where this column, whatever your condition is, that's what you write your code to capture.
But mine gave me an error.
Oh, let me see. Come through now. Now, let me stop sharing. Now we're debugging.
I'm trying to see how to share.
Press share and then click on entire screen. Do you have an Apple? Okay, good. Whew, child. They strict. Share and then entire screen. And then whatever screen you want to share. Keisha, did that make more sense, Erica?
Yes.
Okay, let me look at Jamal code. Everybody can look at Jamal code. I'm gonna put it on the big screen. Oh, okay. Looking at this, somebody, what y'all think his error is? What y'all think is wrong with his code?
He didn't put equal.
That he got equal
at the line number 1. Select top.
Yes.
What?
Get rid of that top.
Oh.
Come through debugging, miss. I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm sorry. What was the problem?
He had top.
Top. Okay.
Like literal. When he got rid of top 1,000, he got rid of 1,000, but kept the top over there, and it threw an error.
So he didn't have to have where grade equals A.
He did.
I had it.
He had it.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
It's kind of hard to see. I had it.
Okay. Oh, I see it now. Okay.
This is mine, Stephanie.
Oh, my bad. I got to get my glasses on.
But yeah, he had it on there. But that now y'all see how like being in here. Okay, now Keisha can look at that and be like, "You didn't get rid of this. That's debugging. That's literally this is throwing an error. Let me figure out what this error is. Let me fix it." Okay. Y'all feel better with this filtering? Y'all
yes, this second one, because the first one I think I understood the question. I knew what I needed to do, but I was wanting to add more when everything was right there. I just needed to put in my select where,
Yep. For some reason, I don't know. Like for some reason, I see it over and over. It's not a you thing because I see it a lot too often. It's like you feel the need to like reinvent the wheel. Like, okay, this can't be there. I gotta do this. Like it just for some reason, it's the need to like reinvent the wheel when you don't really have to do that. Like build it upon what you're doing. And the more complex we get into, like we're gonna get into case statements, we're gonna get into joins, we're gonna get into window functions. We really gonna get out there. everything is either an extension of something that we already talk about, or it's like super related to something that we already talk about. But everything is literally like, okay, I'm gonna do this and now I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna do this, now I'm gonna test it. Like it's literally line by line, piece by piece. But yeah, I see it all the time. Like it's just a need to. This can't be like this. It has to be something else. Or either it's like you overthink it.
Right.
Yep. So it's super common.
Well, I'm thinking
I want to know if I can share my screen because I think mine is.
Let's
I don't
go.
know what. Yeah.
Let's go. I'm gonna stop sharing. Erica, you said the same thing?
Yes.
Okay, let me pull this up. I don't want to accidentally exit, so let me pull it up.
It's
Okay. Execute it. Because this look right to me.
Where's execute?
Up there at the top left-hand corner with the green arrow. Keep going. Go down, go down, go down. Go up. Go to the right. Now go up. Go up, go up, go. Now go to the left. Left a little bit. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Ain't nothing wrong with
Thank
yours. Erica, what was wrong with yours? Also, y'all, okay, so this is recording. Like y'all get all y'all recordings. And in between sessions, if you want to hop on a VM, just let me know. Erica, you got an Apple, don't you?
No, I don't.
Oh, I don't know why. Don't none of y'all have an Apple? Oh, Deb got an Apple. I knew somebody in this session did. You shared the wrong screen, Erica. You share this screen, like this, and not your video.
What?
Do the other one. Click stop, and then just do the click stop, and then just share your other screen.
I'm sure it is.
Or you know what? Post your code in the chat, and I'll post it on mine.
Okay, so another quick question. So with those dashes in there, those are basically just notes to ourselves.
Yep. It does not exist. If it's green, it does not exist.
Okay, so it doesn't interfere with any code.
Nope. Python. Okay, Erica, now I see a castle.
I must exit out now.
Python has the same thing. Just share your oh, there you go. Oh, never mind. That's my screen. I'm pulling a Stephanie. My bad. I thought that was yours.
I take an exit out.
It's out. Okay, we'll come back then. But when you get back in there, you tell me you exit out the VM. Is she on mute?
Yeah, I think I exit out the VM.
When you get back in there, post your code in the chat because I want to look at it.
Okay.
But yeah. So Keisha, all your coding languages gonna do the same type of thing. Like Python has a way to comment out your code. I think it's like a number sign or something, 2 number signs or something like that. Everything has like a lot of overlap. And when you like learn, like when your brain start working like this, it's gonna give you like a leg up in everything you touch. I had to do like a job in PowerShell. Mind you, I ain't never seen it before a day in my life. I ain't never lied like I knew how to do it. It's not on my resume. It's on there now though. It ain't on my resume. It ain't nowhere. And I had to do a automation job to like pull all the Active Directories like from our system using PowerShell. And I told my manager, I was like, me and my manager are really cool. I was like, I ain't never did that before, and you know that. And he was like, girl, if you know how to write code in SQL, you can figure it out. And when I got in there, it was a little learning curve, but I was able to do what I needed to do. And it's just like, okay, because your brain automatically starting to see stuff and it works. Like, it's a lot of overlap all the way around. Any other questions, y'all? Okay. Now let's go back to our tab with our student table, because we're going to use the students table for the rest of the session.
I thought somebody's supposed to be sharing their code.
Erica, but she had to log back in the VM.
Okay.
She said she's gonna post her code when she get back in there, because I do want to look at it to see where her gap is. So let's go back to our students query that we have for our students table, and I'm gonna post my code in the chat, or you can just see it. Just mimic mine to make sure your stuff looks like mine.
I have a question. Do we supposed to save our code in the VM?
Erica, you got a comma. Let me see your actual code, because that means that you have a comma somewhere that you're not supposed to. But Stephanie, no. But you can, like, if this is what we were working on just a few minutes ago. Yeah. Erica, okay, this is Erica's code. Who wants to debug her code? What's missing from this?
Select.
Yep. I gotta select. I need this from here, from here, from here. And there you go. You good now. There you go. Easy peasy.
Thank you. I knew it was something simple.
Yep. Yep. You are always select any columns from that table. Then you just build on top of it where this can end, whatever the conditions are. So now that we're back in our student table, let's comment this out, because now we're going to go into insert. Wait, does anybody have any questions with this one first? Okay. Now, we already talked about one way to comment out your code. That's the double dashes. The other way, if I want to comment out a full block of code or a full syntax of code, I do my \***. I'm writing it in the chat. And my *\\\. Whatever is in between my code is going to be commented out. So I'm going to do \\\. Make sure you close out whatever it is. Anything that's in between them two stars is going to be commented out. Now, anybody got any questions on this? Okay. Everything should be green. Nothing should exist in this space. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move into the next part of our session. We already selected data. Y'all done selected data. Y'all done filtered data. Now we're going to get into insert. Insert and select cannot coexist. If I got a bottle of water, I cannot pour water in this bottle and take water out at the same time. Data is the same way. I cannot select data and insert data at the same time. I can't do that. So the way that I train y'all is you're going to insert data, and then you're going to go back and test that data by pulling that data, retrieving that data. You're literally going to go back and forth, because when you get your role, that is how you're going to work. You're going to go and retrieve data. Now I'm going to go and do this. Now I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to do this. You're going to go back and forth. And in order to do that, you need to comment out your code, apply your change, or insert your data. Now I'm gonna go and test it. You're gonna go back and forth. So for this use case, we're going to insert. We're going to insert yourself as a student in this student table. Now the insert syntax, insert into table name. Remember I told y'all everything goes back to a table. Everything goes back to the table. So insert into your table name. If we're inserting data into the student table, it's the students table. Then we're going to list out our columns. All those columns that's in that table, you list them out in parentheses. Then you come down to the next line and you insert the values into that column. Now, whichever way that your columns are lined up, meaning I got customer ID here, I gotta have customer ID here. I got first name here, I gotta have first name here. I got last name here, I gotta have last name here. That stuff gotta line up to the T. Y'all already got your coding challenge from last week. Your coding challenge has create tables and insert syntax in there. This is what it's doing, is inserting data into that database. So insert yourself as a student within a student table. I'm gonna leave this up for a point of reference, but clearly this is not your table name and stuff. Your table name has to match what's in your database. My only requirement is to make your student ID 50,000. I'm writing a check. And why do I do that? Because that student ID is a primary key. And y'all remember them primary keys can't be duplicates. So insert yourself as a student in a student table. Make your student ID 50,000. This is the syntax. Use it as a point of reference, but your table has to match what you have and your columns have to match what you have. And keep your code commented out because they can't coexist. So just come on right down here and tell what you're doing. And start writing your code. And the way that I do it, if I'm insert data, literally copy this. Copy it and paste it right there because you know that this is lined up. This is your database, this is your schema, this is your table. You ain't got to worry about accidentally making no spaces, none of that. And also, you can make your major anything. Now, mind you, when you insert data, you're not selecting data, so you're not going to get no output. You're going to get a message.